Well, good morning, friends, and welcome to my channel. I'm Crystal, and this is Homemaking on the Homestead. Today, I decided to have a little coffee with Crystal and do a little chatty video. I know I've explained it, but I keep getting new people, so I just wanted to let you know that my coffee with Crystal is usually fairly chatty. I try to, give you some homemaking stuff in there and whatever else is on my mind at the time. And so, yeah, I have a whole lot of stuff going on back here in my kitchen, which is why I decided while I'm waiting, actually currently, I'll show you in just a minute, but I'm also waiting for my oven to preheat, and so I thought, well, I will get started on this video. So before I get started, let me show you what I do have going on in my kitchen. The first thing that I am working on is a batch of granola. We are all out of granola, and I make brown sugar granola. When the price of honey started going up so high, I started making an adjustment by using brown sugar. I have a little bit of water in here. The recipe calls for half a cup of butter, but I am using, and have been doing this for quite a while now, some coconut oil. I get this at Costco, and we actually like it better with the coconut oil than with the butter. So I just put that in there. Works great. In here in my oats, I have a little bit of salt and cinnamon with those, so I'm going to melt this down and add this to that. And I have my baking sheet here with some parchment paper on it, ready to go. This is just a super easy granola recipe, so I like to have it on hand. And after it's done getting nice and brown, I add in some nuts and some raisins. These are tricolored raisins, 3 different varieties, I guess, or maybe 4, I don't know. But I get them at Winco in their bulk section. So I add that at the very end, and it just makes for an easy granola. Over here in this pot, I have some pinto beans cooking. Whoa, it's going to steam up the camera. Dinner tonight is actually leftovers. I plan to make a pot of soup with this a little bit later on. I'm going to add some diced tomatoes, some brown sugar to that, and some molasses, a little bit of mustard. It kind of ends up having, oh, and a jar of my own home-canned hamburger. And it ends up tasting a lot like baked beans. It's a really good recipe. Let's see what else I have going on here. Okay, I'm hoping to get to this. I pulled my nuts out of the freezer because that's where I keep my raisins and nuts and stuff so they don't go bad. And some dates. I wanted to make some date nut bread, so I just pulled these things out. But the recipe calls for 2 cups of dates, and when I measured it out, I only had 1.5 cups. So if you can see that in the bowl, I have some raisins. So I'm going to try that. I've not ever substituted, but I don't know why it wouldn't work. So just rolling with what I have, and I was able to finish off the dates that I had in the freezer. So that worked out perfect. That is what I have going on in my kitchen today. So my leftover dinner tonight is some Korean beef bulgogi that I got at Costco. I showed it in a grocery haul, and I made that last night, and we still have some left over tonight. It was really good. It was kind of expensive, and I don't know that I'll do it again, or at least not very often, but it was delicious. And I also have one of my sons coming to visit today or this evening, and so I knew that wasn't going to be enough dinner for all of us. And that is why I got the pinto bean soup going, because I will just add that in along with, I thought about making cornbread or something like that, but I think with everything else I have going on, I don't think I'm going to have time for that. So it'll probably be some tortilla chips and salsa on the side, so it'll just be a kind of a buffet tonight, and that will be great. I like days where I don't have any big dinner plans and lots of dinner cooking to do, because then that's my opportunity to get in there and do other things in the kitchen, like make granola and date nut bread or whatever it is that's on my plans. One of the things about having a small kitchen is that you are always working to keep it clean. I don't know how many of you have small kitchens, but let me know in the comments, and if you agree with me. I find that I have a constant cycle of doing and washing dishes and, putting things away, organizing things, and it really, it can seem like what a pain, but then on the other hand, it's actually kind of a blessing because, when with the main kitchen in the house, it's got an 8-foot counter. There was 8 feet of counter space. And when I was raising a big family, I absolutely loved all that counter space because we could have 3 or 4 things going on at the same time in there, and it was just great. But, at the end of the day, you still have the same amount of mess to clean up, and it just created much more mess. What I also found interesting is that after my kids had gone and I would be cooking in there, I could still end up managing to spread out over that 8 feet of counter space, and it was ridiculous. And then I'm looking at an overwhelming mess to clean up. So I've actually really gotten content, because I'm going to talk about contentment in a minute, with this little kitchen, simply because it is so, as long as I keep up on it, I never have anything overwhelming to deal with by the end of the day. There's blessings in everything when you look around. I really wanted to talk a little bit more about contentment because I had a couple thoughts and a fun little story I wanted to share with you guys. So when the year started, it's like looking in the camera, my apron's crooked. But when the year started, I picked the word contentment for my word for the year. Now, I am not a discontent person in general. I'm very content with my life. I'm very happy with my simple life, staying at home and taking care of our little home area and my husband, and it's really nice. But every now and then, something will come up that really causes me some frustration and a little bit of discontentment. And that was happening to me in January. And so I thought, you know what? I need to really do more study on just the word contentment. And that was kind of my goal for the year. Okay, I have to take a break because it is time for me to pour my granola liquid into my oats and get that in the oven. So hold on, I'll be right back. One of the first things that I did in my pursuit to understand contentment better was to buy this book, and I've talked about this, I've given a review on this before, so I won't go into it too much more, but it is Love the Life That You Have, 100 Ways to Embrace God's Goodness, and it's numbered with a little bit of like a devotional that you can read. I've been kind of doing it on a daily basis, not every day, but every now and then I'll pull out, read. Sometimes I'll read 2 or 3. It's a really sweet book. Sweet illustrations and the whole bit. So it's been a really enjoyable book. I got it off of Thrift Books, by the way. So anyway, that has been really eye-opening, and I've done a few different videos on contentment. And recently I purchased, these are called On-the-Go devotionals. I don't know if you've ever seen these before. They're really small. This is the first time I have been aware of them. So this one is by Lydia Brownback. And of course, it is on the topic of contentment. And again, these are little daily devotionals, and she gives some insight that has to do with contentment. And today I was reading this one. It's called The Good Old Days. It goes on to talk about how we can sometimes look back at times in the past, and we can pick and choose when we look back, and so we can only remember the good things. We can only remember the fond things when we want to. We can be very selective in how we look back at things. And that made me think about one of the things that I felt that the Lord was impressing upon me when it came to contentment, and that was to live in today. There are many other things that I have started to do in terms of contentment, like keep a gratitude journal and pray for others, and but there are times when we do look back, but it can also be something that is very fond and not cause us discontentment, but rather focus our attention on living out today, and being in the here and the now today, and each day looking at our blessings and being grateful for what the Lord has provided us, regardless of anything else. It's not contingent on us having whatever it is that is making us discontent. This made me reflect on a story from my past that I absolutely love. My father had come over to my house. We were still living in the city. I think I was pregnant with my 6th baby. And I was, feeling kind of stressed that day. And my dad stopped by for a visit, which he frequently did. My dad had passed away several years ago, probably, I'd say 12 years ago. And oh my gosh, I can't tell you how much I miss that man. He was the sweetest, most wonderful father, and it's a blessing to have had him in my life and to be able to reflect on stories like this. But he came into the house, and he could see that I was feeling very stressed. There were toys everywhere. I am 8 months pregnant. I'm very tired. There's a lot of demands from the little ones, and life just seemed really hectic at that moment. And my dad kind of just came in. He saw the situation, and in his wisdom, he said to me, "Hey, Crystal, can I take the kids for a walk?" Oh my gosh, I was like, yes, yes, you can take them for a walk. That would be wonderful. I would love to have just, 20 minutes of just quiet and pick up things and whatever. And so, of course, like it is when you have little children, we spent the next 20 minutes looking for shoes so that each of them could be ready to go. And they all, went out the door with Grandpa. They loved their little walks and times that they would spend with him. Anyway, I enjoyed my break, and he came back, and he, had coffee with me, and we had a very nice visit before he left. But he made this comment to me as he walked out the door, and he said, "Crystal, remember, these are the good old days." Now, I wrote a blog post about this, so any of my blog readers may remember that blog post. But, what he meant by that is that while we're in the midst of so much, maybe stress, discontentment, anything of that nature, we will one day get past all of that, and we will look back, and what we will most likely remember is how the fond memories. We will remember the good times. And I can't tell you how many times that saying has gone through my head. Remember, these are the good old days. So when things get difficult, when I start to feel discontentment, when I start to feel, just like, what is wrong? And I remember to live in the moment, be grateful for today, be thankful for today, and be aware of all the beautiful, wonderful blessings that God has already given me. And that I know I'll look back at this time and remember it, and see how God brought me through. And that should be enough to help me get past any kind of discontent feelings I may be having, because we have a faithful, loving God that cares very much about all the things that we go through. And oftentimes we just need to have that readjustment of our mindset. And that has been part of my journey of contentment this year, is that readjustment of the mindset of God's amazing blessings, and learning to be content with whatever the situation is, wherever it's at, and how I deal with that. So anyway, that was my little blurb for you today on contentment that reading through this little devotional made me think about. So this is a really sweet book. I also got it on thrift books, so they had other on-the-go devotionals, and I would say that I would recommend them if different topics. Your topic may not be contentment, but maybe go check them out. They're kind of fun to read, and I always enjoy a good devotional. Okay, ladies, I hope you enjoyed today's Coffee with Crystal. It may be shorter than typical. But, you know, I just figured I would get on here and chat with you and show you what I have going on in my kitchen. And, you know, just spend a little time with you all. All right, you guys. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And always, like I've said in the past, if you enjoy my videos, could you please give them a like? That really helps the YouTube algorithm, helps my channel grow, and it's very valued by me. And if you like my content, you know, and you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, would you consider subscribing? I would appreciate that too. All right, y'all, I hope you have a great day today, and live in the moment and be thankful for all of God's blessings today. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.